Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog. I'm Pete Howard, and this is a mid-50s seminal rock and roll concert poster. Just an awesome piece. If you've seen the headline or looked closely, you've probably already noticed. Chuck Berry and his trio, creator of Maybelline, in this big rock and roll show. Just amazing how early, important, seminal, right? Maybelline, Chuck's first single period. And obviously it's an early piece where rock and roll was defined largely by R&B and doo-wop and so forth, as well as electric guitar. And I'm going to give a name check to an old friend who's no longer with us. That's Hank Thompson, a very influential and early boxing style concert poster collector, wonderful friend, great guy. And Hank got this, I believe, from a furniture store out of the back of a mirror. The furniture store did, and it's it's very weather worn and beat and everything. And I was just so pleased to get it from him. And I had this actually in a frame for many years, and this was my Chuck Berry first concert poster, and I just loved it. But then look what walked in the door. That's one fun thing about collecting, right? You never know what's coming next or when it's going to walk in the door. You take that fragment, and then you find the whole thing. I have to back up to get it all in the frame. Beautiful jumbo mint condition version, 22 by 28 inches, every inch of it from the city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. The other one was blank on the top. This still has that big rock and roll show. Actually shows Buddy Johnson, which the other one didn't. I'll get my fingers off his face as a bonus. And there it is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, Friday, October 14th of 1955. And there's the poster in its entirety. And it's just, you just never know what's been saved or what closet or garage they're in or whatever. So I sort of call this the Chattanooga Chuck. It's such a gorgeous early, it's for all intents and purposes the very first Chuck Berry concert poster. It's the only time he was called Trio, the Chuck Berry Trio. He's very shortly afterwards was just Chuck Berry. He was he started the show, but look how important Johnny Johnson and his musicians were. But still, this is building them as the Chuck Berry Trio. The only thing that exists earlier on Chuck is this real super duper ridiculously rare one-of-a-kind poster from the Crank Club the year before, St. Louis, Missouri, 1954. And look how his name is spelled. Chuck Berrien. You know why? He put an N on the end of his last name just because his dad was a deacon in the local church and he didn't want to embarrass his father by playing rock and roll with the same last name as his dad, so he added an N to it. So this, I believe, is pretty much a one-off poster. It was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has it either in their collection or on loan from the Berry family, I'm not sure. But that's the first Chuck Berrien poster. This is the first Chuck Berry concert poster. And it's just, such a sight to behold from 1955. Things were so naive, and I just love the way. It's kind of funny because that big rock and roll show does sort of seem like a misnomer because Chuck Berry's the only rocker on there. I mean, where's the other, where's Bill Haley and the Comets and the few other rock and roll people there were? But that, that harkens back to Alan Freed's Moondog Balls in Cleveland, right? Starting in '52, where Freed sort of coined the term rock and roll, and he had Moondog Coronation Ball as rock and roll dance and stuff, but they were all black doo-wop groups and so forth. So this is still carrying it forward. The electric guitar had not yet conquered and defined the term rock and roll. So what's also interesting is that our hero here, Chuck, on October 14th, 1955, is just 4 days away from his 29th birthday. 29, that's these were teenage hops. I mean, that's getting sort of old. You stop to think about it. Do you realize that all four Beatles were either 29 or younger when the group broke up after doing everything, changing the world for a decade? The Beatles were all 29 or younger. Here's Chuck, almost 29 and starting out. That's an interesting tidbit about Chuck, but obviously he, age is just a number, and he was so youthful and put out so many teenage anthems that nobody really noticed or cared. But it is kind of funny because it's a big rock and roll show, right? And there's Buddy Johnson, right up there with Chuck. In fact, a bigger picture and a bigger name. That's because whatever the musical genre was, Buddy was a more established star. In fact, he was sort of too established as far as I'm concerned. He's 40 years old. In 1955, you don't have a big rock and roll show headlined by a 40-year-old. I mean, you never trusted anybody over 30. 10 years later, 10 years earlier, you probably didn't trust anybody over 20. And here Buddy Johnson is 40. But it's okay. Bittersweet, the song above his name, went nowhere. But he had been actually recording since the late 30s and charting since World War II. And so, you know, it's just kind of funny to see him just way up top on a supposedly this new teenage, you know, rock and roll, and here they have such an established guy, Buddy Johnson. But, you know, that's okay, that's okay. Other acts on the poster, the Nutmegs there, you see them, they had 2 R&B hits in 1955, but then they were gone from the scene. Arthur Prysock had only 1 R&B hit in the 1950s, and he was actually pretty tied to Buddy Johnson, as these multi-act posters often have it. The Four Fellows, there they are, right smack dab in the middle of the poster. They had just 1 hit in 1955, and then they were gone. But, interestingly, in the Four Fellows, if I may actually do something very unprofessional here with my iTunes player here, well, okay, that's fine. We don't need the audio. Anyway, this member of the Four Fellows right here where my thumb is, and let's see, here we go, right above my thumb. He's down in the lower corner there. That's Larry Banks, and he wrote the first Moody Blues hit, Go Now, from 1965. Yeah, isn't that funny? And here he is on a 55 poster as part of a R&B group. That's just amazing. That just cracks me up. The Moody's were not the first to record it. They were basically doing a cover, but still, the fact that he wrote Go Now is really fun. Al Savage, unfortunately, never charted, and he's kind of far down on the poster. The Spaniels had a top 10, let's see, there they are, the Spaniels. Yeah, Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night, and so forth. They had 1 top 10 R&B hit in 53 and another one in 54. And then Ella Johnson down here, she's just Buddy's sister. That's all. And she'd been playing with Buddy for 15 years. So that's, you know, just once again tied to the headliner. There's Ella. However, what I find so intriguing about this poster, the last tidbit there, is Queenie Owens. Now, who is Queenie Owens? We can't find any trace of her. But she was obviously, it looks like a dancer there. And look at that picture of her. The Queen of Shiver and Shake, Queenie Owens. So, the question is, was Chuck Berry inspired by Queenie for this hit single he had a couple of years later in the 50s on Chess Records? Yeah, huh? It's got to be darn possible. It's got to be darn possible. But I've read Chuck's bio and I saw no mention of it. So the one he wrote himself or had ghostwritten or whatever. So anyway, it's a flat out great early seminal 1955 rock and roll and R&B, so forth. Concert poster, beautiful specimen, 22 by 28 inch cardboard, window card. Most of them were thrown away after the show, but it's always great to find one, and then find one that was never used is really, I can guarantee you though, I'm a poster expert, it absolutely is authentic. These were not printed later, these are from the original printer or whatnot. So it's just great when you find them in great condition. It's great when you find them in any condition, really. So thanks for coming by, hope you enjoyed the display, and we'll hit you next time with something hopefully almost as good. Okay, bye-bye.